Hello there, and welcome to the first Google Hangout for the Digital Publishing Innovation Summit, which is taking place in London on the 19th and 20th of October. Joining me today is Jeff Moriarty, the Chief Digital Officer of the Johnston Press, who will be featured as a speaker at the event. We just wanted to catch up with him and see what his thoughts were and have a little preview of what you can expect at the summit. So over to you, Jeff. Let's just talk a little bit about you.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Stuart. Great to be able to join you. Yeah, I am Jeff Moriarty, Chief Digital and Product Officer at Johnston Press. We are a large regional and local publisher in the UK. We operate a few hundred newspapers and websites across the country, and we're constantly working towards our digital future and trying to grow the digital part of our business. So I think a lot of what we'll be talking about is some of the tasks at hand and how we're trying to do that over the coming years.
Yeah, so obviously the role of the Chief Digital Officer is to digitally transform the business. I wondered first of all, what kind of challenges that you'd faced doing that at Johnston Press and what that's kind of looked like for your organization.
Yeah, I mean, it's really many-fold. I mean, we are quite an old business. I mean, as you can imagine, the newspaper business has been around for a long time, and some of our newspapers are extremely old. One of them is one of the oldest English language newspapers in the world. I think it was back to somewhere around 1712. So we have a really long legacy of doing things a certain way. So the digital transformation in a company like Johnston Press is particularly challenging and tricky and very interesting. I mean, it spans everything from how we create content every day that is going into our newspapers, but also into digital channels, and then increasingly onto social channels. So it's becoming an even more complex question of how do we get the content out to our readers. It's not always about them coming to us now. It's about how do we get it to where they are. So on the content side, it's about creating the right content for the right platforms and getting it there. On the commercial side, it's really about growing our business and our revenue from both national and local advertisers. And in particular with smaller local advertisers, what we've been trying to do is move from just being a newspaper company with print and then being a newspaper company that also had display, digital display. We're now sort of expanding our commercial portfolio. We have about 11 products that we offer small businesses to be able to help them with their local marketing, essentially. So everything from print display, digital, being able to handle their Google AdWords for them, and we're piloting a product with Facebook ads. So essentially, a small business can kind of use us to be their local agency in a way. So as you can imagine, with 1,000 journalists across the country, 500 salespeople across the country, our challenge is really to try to transform the kind of way we do things and the way we speak to our customers and our readers about what it is we have to offer.
Yeah, and just looping back on your point about platforms as well, which are obviously such an important part of modern content and modern content distribution. I mean, everybody's been in the publishing industry extremely challenged by the way that Facebook has changed their algorithm to prefer news feeds from users rather than publishers. So obviously that's having a huge impact right across the industry. But I just wanted to get an understanding from you as well, how that may have affected your business and kind of what you're doing in order to face up to the changes and the challenges that are coming through that massive shift in social publishing.
Yeah, we've been embracing some of the new technologies that are available and the new platforms. So Facebook Instant Articles, publishing our content directly into Facebook. We've been experimenting and learning from that, and then similarly with Google AMP as well. But on Facebook, it really is about making sure that we leverage the tools that are available in the platform, and so Instant Articles being the big one. But then also we've been really focused on being even smarter about how we publish content into Facebook. So as we know, Facebook seems to be really, giving some priority to content that friends are sharing. So the more locally relevant content we can create that is relevant to the people who are following us on Facebook, the more they will share it, the more they will interact with it, the better it does on the platform. So we've been training our newsrooms to think about the types of posts and the types of content that people will share and interact with on Facebook, rather than using it as sort of a broadcast mechanism for content. So that, I think, has been the big shift for us over the past 6 months. And actually it's been going pretty well. I don't think we've seen the impact that many have seen from the algorithm changes, because I think our content is quite unique. We're in local markets, regional markets, with content that's not readily available elsewhere. So by just sort of tweaking what we're doing, we've been able to see some solid results.
And is that something that you would recommend for other publishers maybe moving forward, who've perhaps really struggled with the massive shift that has occurred, especially with Facebook? That's the main kind of example that comes to mind, just because it has been so highly publicized. But is that something that you would recommend for other businesses to do?
Yeah, definitely. I think it does kind of come back to basics. It's about looking at that platform less as a broadcast platform and more of something that needs to be personally relevant to people who are using it. So, we've changed a little bit the way we write posts, the way we describe the content, and in doing so, we're seeing, we track really closely interactions across Facebook posts. So, not just links and traffic back, but how many people are liking it, how many people are sharing it, and those by focusing on those numbers, I think it leads you to doing the right things. So I think if you focus on the right data, it will lead you to the right answer for the moment anyway, and sort of doing things the right way that gets the maximum benefit on Facebook.
And one of the things that you mentioned very early on in the Hangout was how old the portfolio of Johnston Press is. At the other end of the spectrum with the Eye and how you've launched a website for that, that's kind of at the opposite end, just because it is such a new, relatively new newspaper product, and it was obviously quite a high-profile situation where that was kind of being launched through you. So how have you found that experience of launching this new website with a kind of a relatively young newspaper?
It's been really fascinating and a lot of fun. I never thought I'd be launching a newspaper website in 2016. Thought that those days had gone. But when we purchased the Eye from the Independent, it didn't have a website to come with it because the Independent was going to be operating digital only. So all of the web assets, the digital assets, stayed with the Independent. So in launching inews.co.uk, we had this chance to kind of start to experiment with what we think works today. And so, we're only about 6 months in, but, we're trying to keep things very simple. We're trying to stand out from the many sources of content across the UK by keeping things simple, writing content and socially publishing it around areas that, help people sort of understand the news and get a quick understanding of what's happening. So the Eye newspaper, if you've read it in print, it's all about sort of brevity and keeping things simple and really explaining what's going on, and then letting people and readers decide what they want to think about it. So it's very neutral politically. So we're trying to take some of those ethos to the web, and in doing that, we're creating a lot of content every day that's exclusive to iNews, but is trying to look at the news landscape in a slightly different way, just by keeping it simple and applying this kind of explanation of the news, but then letting people decide what they think of it and what they want from it. And that's been going pretty well. I think it's it's only 6 months in, but we're already seeing months where we're exceeding 1 million uniques a month, and that's from a standing start. So I think we're learning a lot, and again, we're trying to really stand out by just doing things in a slightly different way.
Jeff, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thanks very much for joining us, and thanks very much for watching this Google Hangout. You can catch Jeff Moriarty, Chief Digital Officer at Johnston Press, and a whole host of other publishing professionals at the Digital Publishing Innovation Summit taking place in London this October 19th and 20th. Thanks very much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Stuart.